Devotional. Living in joy, prayer, and gratitude. 1 Thessalonians 5 verses 16 to 18. Rejoice always. Pray without ceasing. Give thanks in everything, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. The Apostle Paul gives us in this passage three key principles for a full Christian life: constant joy, continual prayer, and gratitude at all times. Although these actions may seem difficult in times of trial, God calls us to live this way because they reflect a life centered on Christ and His will. 1. The joy that comes from God. Paul exhorts us to always be joyful, which does not mean that we ignore difficulties, but that our joy does not depend on circumstances. Christian joy arises from our relationship with God, from His love and faithfulness. When we focus on His promises and His presence, we can find joy even in the midst of challenges. 2. A life of constant prayer. Praying without ceasing does not mean that we are on our knees all day, but that we maintain continuous communication with God. Prayer is our connection to the Father. It strengthens us, gives us direction, and helps us depend on Him at all times. In every situation, we can pray a prayer, either silently or aloud, trusting that God hears and answers. 3. Gratitude at all times. Being grateful in everything is challenging, especially in difficult times. However, gratitude helps us see God's hand at work in our lives. Even in the midst of pain, there is always something to be thankful for. When we give thanks, we recognize that God is in control and that everything has a purpose in His perfect plan. Practical applications. 1. Choose joy every day. When you face difficulties, instead of focusing on the negative, look for reasons to rejoice in God. Remember His blessings and promises. 2. Make prayer a constant habit. Talk to God throughout the day, in every circumstance, whether in words, thoughts, or in your heart. Give Him your concerns and trust His answer. 3. Practice gratitude at all times. Before bed, make a list of 3 things you can be thankful for. Even in difficult times, look for something positive and thank God. Conclusion. 1 Thessalonians 5 verses 16 to 18 reminds us that God's will for our lives includes living in joy, being in constant communication with Him, and being thankful in all circumstances. These principles not only strengthen our faith, but also transform the way we approach life. When we learn to live like this, we experience a peace and purpose that can only come from God.